This is a long-term move where all the computing infrastructure in the world is moving from traditional architectures or single-threaded computing to accelerated or parallel computing that utilizes massive amounts of data to recognize patterns. So this is a long-term move that's going to take 10 to 20 years. And I think the growth rate is very hard to measure. There's been an initial spike in data center build out caused by, basically ChatGPT and these generative AI models. The question I think investors are asking is the growth rate going to sustain at the same level? Or as we actually saw with Nvidia's earnings, the quarter over quarter growth rate is clearly slowing.
Yeah.
They're still doing, 120 to 130 billion dollar run rate, but at some point it can't double every year, right? So I think that's what people are trying to figure out. It's a huge opportunity, though. It's just a question of the multiple you put on it.
Exactly, and that raises a couple of questions. And speaking of the multiple, Jeff, given that AI is a story in the long term, and we are just arguably in the opening innings here, can we argue, or can we say that Nvidia looks reasonably valued? Perhaps not cheap, but reasonably valued given the longer term prospects?
Look, I will disclose I'm a shareholder in the company. I have been for over 20 years. I've held stock since I left the company. I think it's reasonably valued. It's just really a question of, are you a patient investor and willing to accept increases in valuation as the company grows? Or are you a trader that's looking to make a quick turnaround? And I think for those of us who are investors, we think it's fairly valued. And, what's going to happen is, as more of these data centers get built out, there's going to be more applications that are built, which is going to then again spur more demand for data centers and hardware. And if you recall on the call, I think Jensen was talking a lot about some of the applications that are coming. And this is what I see in my world is every business, every industry is going to utilize AI. And so
absolutely,
it's not a question of if, it's just a question of when and how big.
Jeff, let's talk more about your world then. And as a venture capitalist at GFT, what opportunities in this region or elsewhere make the most sense to you?
Well, we're looking for the early stage companies that are building applications that stretch the limits of AI. And it was really interesting because I really love what Jensen talked about on the call, because they asked him what are some of the applications that he's seeing. And one of the ones he mentioned is ad tech. And I think he said that you can, and I agree with him, generative AI and AI in general is going to let advertisements be personalized based on the person looking at it. I mean, imagine if you could generate a video or a print ad on the fly based on the person that's viewing the ad. So it's basically personalized for Jeff Herbst. And we've actually invested in a company called Cortex that contextualizes the ad. And if you're watching something that has cars moving around, it'll show a car ad. And so these are all things that are starting to develop.